allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, we have a roll call, I guess.
Yeah, you call roll.
Okay, we got a form. Approval of the agenda.
You need a motion to
Approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Stephanie,
Sorry,
second. Motion by Mr. Blevins to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any approval of the minutes? Let's need a motion for that.
Make a motion.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Let me check it real quick. Check. No public comment.
Okay.
I
And
have questions.
Is this for one of the hearings or?
Well, this is for what the thing about Spring Street, about Thompson Street.
Okay, yeah, that's when he opens the hearing.
Oh,
That opens,
That's, okay.
yeah, that's the public comments here.
Perfect. That'd be great.
okay.
Just tell me when.
Yes, ma'am, we will.
Thanks.
Everybody does that, they think, oh, I didn't write my name down. Nah, you're fine.
Do we have any old business?
No.
Okay. And the new business would be the zoning change request for Thompson Street.
I think, are you here for that?
Yes, yes.
And do you have the PowerPoint that I sent, or, no?
No, okay, no problem.
Yes.
I have a thumbs up.
You have a thumb drive?
Yeah, can you put that up there just so we can look at something?
Yes, ma'am.
It should be the only file.
I'll need a
on
minute,
it.
though, just give me.
Okay.
If you can state your name, and who you represent.
My name is Emily Estes, and I'm here with Heritage Engineering, and we represent NB Development. And they're proposing well, this is for the PUD zoning that we are requesting for Thompson Street. And you might be looking at those typos. So that is what is
Yeah.
going on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
What this is, for everybody, I'll just go ahead and say, they're requesting a change of the zoning maps to a planned unit development.
Why is it not reading it?
And this is, I sent her some questions that we normally ask, but this is just for the zoning, it's not for the development, so like, I asked her, because I told her some people will want to know what the exterior is and all that, which is great, but that's actually covered in the development phase. But I did ask her some of the questions, that way you guys got the right to hear that too, so.
That's right, and I'm prepared to answer those questions. We were able to go over those
Yeah, okay.
today.
Not working?
No, I just can't get it to read the
That's up there.
USB.
Well, that's okay. I would like everybody to be able to see the development plan, which you all can, and the colored plan.
But I guess y'all can't see it back there.
I got that.
Yeah, you can give, you got one, somebody look at, anybody need one?
That's cool.
You want me to just kind of walk through
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
what we're proposing then? Okay. Okay, so I'm here representing NB Development, and again, this is in regards to Thompson Street. It is a 5.62 acre site that is divided into a west and an east development that will happen at the same time. And we are here seeking the PUD residential zoning to be able to work with 37 single-family residential lots.
And the reason why they're asking for a PUD is because we always recommend that, but if they were to try to do just as a single family,
Is that it?
Yes, yes,
that's the,
Sorry about
it's all the same, it works just as.
if they were to ask for a single family, then what they would actually have to do is get zoning variances for each and every house, you know, based on the size and setbacks. And that's why we do plan unit developments. It allows them, when they bring the development to us, to have that all in one set, because it'd be really confusing for the BZA to sit and look at each house. That's just the reason we do that, just so you guys know that. Okay, Yep, that's the fire plan, I think, isn't it?
Yes, so what we're looking at right here is the development plan, but of course overlaid over top of that is a typical fire truck and how they would maneuver around on these streets that are proposed. We did design this with the turnaround in mind and having public access. So, and it's fine just to look at that. This incorporates some landscape features, which are a divided,
Is that all on there?
There's one other thing, but it just won't open.
it's a PowerPoint and
Mhm.
maybe,
Look at this.
yes.
Yeah, when I sent her a text, one of the things I asked them was turnarounds for a fire truck or something like that, we usually like to have that in a cul-de-sac. So when this gets approved, they bring a development plan to us, that might be one of our recommendations, is we have to see how big the turnaround is. Harold would know more about that than I do, but, we might have to recommend that they put a cul-de-sac at the end. I think the one side has a cul-de-sac, and I think they could probably put it on the other end and just have a downward slope probably.
Yes, that's true. We could incorporate a turnaround, a cul-de-sac. And actually that could go in place of the divided entrance. I
Right.
just, you know, the divided entrance and the extra landscape islands, those are just
Right.
something that makes it look nicer on approach.
That's something we just pick up on the development plan.
So yes, that can be discussed for sure. And we definitely want to have this accessible for emergency vehicles. So there's a total of 37 units, 27 on the
West
west
side.
and 11 on the east. Also to note, these drives have a 50-foot right-of-way minimum, which I believe is what public right-of-way would be for a public street. So that would be up for discussion as well. Our intention was to keep that as public right-of-way.
The issue we run across from that is, on the west side, that's just an extension of Thompson as it goes down. It's just an extension of the road, so we would eventually take that over. On the east side, it comes off of Thompson and goes back. So that would have to that'd end up having to be a dedicated city street if they were to want snow removal, street repairs, something like that. So that's something that the street department would have to look at, and the engineers would have to look at and make sure we meet our criteria. I did make sure that one thing we might do, have to do, because, you know, you look out at Glendale, we got problems with roads that are too close, parking on both sides. Pleasant Ridge has that problem because the roads were bigger, but the easements were different, and each road is different, so that might be something we do, is recommend no on-street parking.
Where do you want me to go to?
Great, that's
Because we're-
There we go.
Yeah, let's just, I think if you go one more, yes, this
There
just
we go.
makes it easier to see. So this is the development we're talking about. and how you're talking about the Thompson Street is a turnoff on the east side. It is, you're driving down Thompson Street, we extended some, and then you turn left into the
Right.
development. Both include stormwater facilities, the detention basins. We are looking at all the utilities, how to best do that, so. Well, and then, of course, on the east, we own all the way up to the floodplain.
Right.
But that is, we're not gonna encroach, as soon as it starts falling off that cliff,
Right.
it's
And I did,
not developable.
for the board, I did talk to Tim Crawford, the wastewater manager, he's been working with them, and he says there's won't be any issue as far as, being able to supply them with wastewater and storm drains, of course. It's according to what the cost, which way they wanna run it, it's a cost thing, so, but he said as far as the city's concerned, they have the capacity. So he would sign a capacity letter.
I do have a sewer exhibit. I talked with him earlier today. If anyone here is particularly interested in the sanitary sewers, or I'll pursue it with him.
Yeah, it does, so with Tim, because that's
Okay.
something this board will address. This board will address the development plan only. This one tonight, I'm sorry, I should have made that clear. The one tonight, whatever the recommendation here, we recommended up to the city council for a zoning map change. They're the ones that ultimately have it, but this is the public meeting for that.
Okay. Yes, this just shows the 26 units on the west and 11 on the east. That also showed the cross-section of the roadway, which at a minimum, our drive lanes are 12 feet wide with a 2-foot roll curb. And, that's just kind of done so that it does make a nicer, wider road. Because you can run up on a roll curb. Here's some elevations of the footprint that they're looking at, which is the Ashton. That's the single garage. There's a couple of those. If you just want to scroll through those, I think there's like 8 elevations here. And yes, the next one. The Berkshire, I think you get into 2 cars. Maybe it was the Auburn as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Auburn as well had 2-car garage. So each development will have a garage, whether it's single or double, and then, of course, the driveway. We'll park 1 or 2 cars. That's all up there. And then I did go through and write out all of your questions, if you want to go through any of those. My answers are in there.
I just, questions I looked at yesterday.
Yes.
The mayor. So, couple of questions that I presented to them that I know the board always likes to know is, the type of exterior covering. So a lot of people like to know what that is.
Yes, and our answer is, it will be mostly vinyl siding.
In that case, it's the vinyl siding, it's gonna have to be the vinyl siding that we had determined, I don't know, a year or 2 ago. Remember the thicker, it's gonna be a thicker vinyl siding, a thick residential siding, but I'll present them with that.
Okay.
What that is years ago, we went to instead of the real thin vinyl siding they used to get on there, we actually went to the require, if you're gonna put vinyl siding on, when we have to go for the subdivision now, we can require them to put on, it's a thick residential vinyl siding that actually has insulation in it. So, and it's more, it has a more wearability, and it doesn't fade. The other one is, who will be responsible for maintenance of common areas such as retention ponds, roadway median, sidewalks, and curbs? We've had issues like Woodford and all that where these HOAs, people will have an HOA and then they just don't want to have it anymore. But the problem is they can't just do away with it because like in Woodford Farms, they have a very large retention pond. So the thing is, the city can't be held responsible for that because it's on private property. It's not a part of our drainage system. So the HOA's arguing with the guy that actually lives there saying, hey, you gotta take care of it. He says, I'll just close it in. And then their houses flood, now we got problems. So we always ask them, hey, somebody's gonna have to put it on writing who's gonna be in charge of this because we can't. Same thing with sidewalks and sidewalks and streets, snowplow, but that's what we was talking about, the one on the east side. You know, if it's gonna, if they want the city to take that over, then it's gonna have to be, you know, it has to be dedicated because it can't be a private, we don't do private drives. Whereas the one on the west side would actually be part of Thompson Street because it's an extension, so it's a easement, I mean, we'll still have to accept it, but it's an easement by exception by the way it is. So, that was, but they, so, basically,
Yeah, so we talked about HOA,
Mhm.
and I'm assuming that an HOA agreement would cover legally who it would pass on to.
Right.
Okay.
That's standard. To the west side of the proposed subdivision looks to be an extent, that's why I already explained that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got that one. There's a cul-de-sac on the west side of Tom Street development meet the standards. That was something that I'm asking them, this was one for Harold, because he always asks that question. The standard for a turnaround for the cul-de-sac so they can put the truck in there. That's something we'll pick up. A lot of this stuff I'm telling them because I want them to understand that when they ask for it, that, hey, we're gonna make sure this stuff is done when it comes time. Of course, I said, yeah, the truck is good, but yeah. The housing development on the east side will be a private drive, we've already covered that. Fencing, that was Brian Hester's the other board member, the other councilman too.
Okay.
He had requested that there be a fence, some type of privacy fence between the school, this is on the east side, where the new school's built. And he and I actually walked up to the second floor over there just to take a look. And, he requested that there be a fence there, so to keep traffic from going in and out, you know, kids running, somebody getting hurt coming through there. And, so that was one thing they'd asked for, he'd asked us if we could do that.
Would that be on the school side or the residential side?
It would,
I feel like I talked with Harold Hart about this.
yes,
so-
I think they talked about where there used to be a sidewalk down through there.
Yes, and
And the school was, I don't know if they were willing to build a fence or something. I know Harold had been talking to him. He knows
yes,
him.
because originally we had shown a pathway, you know, like a sidewalk that
So
would take
take 'em to
people
the
from
school,
the
right.
development back there, and then I think the school did not want any access,
Right.
you know, crossing back and forth, so they're aware of it, they're available to, you know, if you want the fence or if you want to
Okay.
walk, just let us know.
Okay, yeah,
Not a wooden fence.
What?
Not a wooden fence.
no, just some kind of barrier fence, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to Brian some more. See what he like.
Okay, and then the last question was just, are these owner or rental?
Right.
They're owner occupied.
Okay, good. I know we get a lot of questions on that too. Matter of fact, there was a development that was turned down because it was gonna be rental properties, rental townhouses. And it didn't fit there with the school being there. Not that they're bad, it's just we've got so many of them everywhere else.
Yeah.
We don't, it needs to be, you know, needs to maintain what's going on up there as far as the housing.
Okay, well, that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
See, I asked the questions before they asked them.
I like that, and then I
Well,
can
I've been here
pre-address it
long
and
enough, I
ask
know
the
what you're
right
gonna ask.
people. Perfect.
I got a couple questions. On the utilities, are they gonna be underground or overhead or?
The electric lines?
Yes.
And I don't have that answer.
I can answer that because we're dealing with up Pleasant Ridge and starting to put them underground now,
Okay,
especially up at the top part. So those will be underground. We've talked to Duke about it.
okay.
And that was a good question though, because that was one thing I thought of a couple of weeks ago. I thought, man, we need to make everything underground now.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it definitely helped. This is not showing any sidewalks, or will there be sidewalks?
None are proposed.
Okay, so people will be walking down the middle of the street. And then, you got a single-family house with one driveway, one car. Most people's got two cars. Where's the cars gonna park? Are they gonna be on the street or in the driveway?
There is a garage space and a driveway space, so 2 cars per house minimum, and then some of the houses will accommodate 4.
Okay.
And then also, talking about the sidewalks, that just brings me back why we decided not to show the sidewalks. there are no other sidewalks to join to. I just, yeah, so I remember us discussing that, but is that something you all are pushing, that you want sidewalks in?
I would think that for curb appeal and everything,
Yeah.
it would look a lot better.
Matter of fact, I got a question just today, yesterday on something, I went to some spy wall, we talked to people on Spring Street. Eventually, we're gonna have sidewalks up there for connectivity, and with the new school and everything growing, and try to do the rest of the city, so, that's probably something, when it comes, we sit down with them before they present the development to this board, probably look to see what the ability to put sidewalks in there.
Okay.
And just two more quick things. I know this is just temporary, just for the PUD part, but, you know, if it comes back, we got really nice looking street lights that the city's put up and everything. If they can kind of keep that in mind for the lighting. And then fire hydrants, are they going to be, have you talked about that yet? Especially on the lower end, the bigger development. Do you know how many fire hydrants will be in this?
I've not worked with fire yet on that,
Okay.
but
It would have to be by
Yeah.
the standards.
per code.
What is our 400,
About
500?
500
500
feet.
feet.
I would like to get that light pole. I was just writing down a note. I don't think I'm showing the light poles right now, but
Yeah, we have,
we could discuss those.
we have at some of the new developments, Springville and stuff, we actually have poles out there. A lot of them go along with the poles that we've already established down Monroe and all that. There's actually at the bottom of the hill, at the bottom of that, before it crosses the road, there's some light poles down there, so if we could take it up, that would be a pretty good idea.
Okay.
If it does, it will get dark up there real quick.
Does anybody else have any questions, concerns? Can we, public input or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's your time.
Excellent. I do not have any questions of this nice young lady. However, I am curious.
Well, I have to ask you to do this, can you come up and give your name and address? I know we don't like to do that, but
Sure, what do you want?
just your name and address.
My name is Jude Patron. I live at 112 Marshall Drive in Charlestown, Indiana, Pleasant Ridge specifically.
At the top of the hill.
So my question really is, why such a short notice
The
on
post
this
office,
meeting?
yeah, the post office, they had an issue with trying to get them all out because of, they just had issues with the certified letters. We've been having issues with them. But also, but the good thing is this goes in front of the plant, this goes in front of the city council.
I realize that, but I was very curious because you know there's been a history of these kinds of things, as you know.
No, that wasn't.
And I noticed that in the material that was sent,
Mhm.
you know, the early stated thing I could find was the 5th.
Mhm.
And I wondered why no one was getting a delivery until Saturday, when you
I've
can't
asked
get into
that
the
question.
post office. And so there were people who've not signed for their
Yeah,
letter.
they used to deliver those, and now they don't, they just put the sticker up there, and I think that's been probably, we've been dealing with the post office on that, not only just on this issue, but on other issues.
Well, because again, if they leave them on a Saturday afternoon, most people work Monday through Friday. And I'm sorry, I just put
That's
that in my
okay. No,
mouth
you're
before I
fine.
came up here.
No, it's a legitimate concern. I mean, you know, maybe in the future that we can put a
Well, I think,
longer
like, you
period.
can talk to the mayor, I think in the future.
Well, it occurs to me there, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tom.
No, that's fine. In the future, we're probably gonna have to do hand deliveries also, and then do that. That's what we talked about the other day when I had to go over and talk to them.
Because there might have been more people that would have wanted to come here or later to city council. I understand it's following and I'm not staying because I can't. But I particularly wondered about that because obviously where I live, it doesn't affect me much one way or the other.
Yeah,
But I'm still interested in what goes
Right,
on in
right.
the city.
and it won't be right after this meeting, it won't be to the council's,
Well, no, for them to,
right, and we'll hand deliver those. And we'll still have to do them, but the state of Indiana requires them to be certified. But now they're saying, now they're one telling us we don't anymore. It doesn't make any sense. And then the mail, kind of a pet peeve, but then the mail don't want to deliver certified letters because I send out sometimes 100, 150 at a time. And they don't like that. Yeah, it's expensive for us, but I mean, that's what the law says. Like, when I did Urals out there before, it was 178. And they just refused to deliver. They just went ahead and went around, just threw those little things in the mailbox. They didn't even try to deliver them. They're supposed to knock on the door. But that's what we're paying for, but we're not getting them. So that's something, so I was talking to them the other day, and I think we're just gonna have to go to hand deliver them.
well, that might be the answer. Sometimes it's hard to figure out who's on first, who's
Right.
making the decisions.
None of it was done on purpose.
So that was my one thing. I was
Mhm.
curious. That's why I made it a point of coming
Mhm.
to be here. The second thing I'm curious about, and I should know this, but I don't. Who is Charlestown Development LLC?
They're the people that originally bought all those lots up there. That is, in Pleasant Ridge.
In Pleasant
Right.
Ridge.
And
And so I should know,
well,
so
no.
tell me.
I'm trying to think of his name. Perry, what's his name?
Who, what?
The MB Development, who's the one that owns the majority of that?
Me development?
MB Development.
I'm not sure. Can't think.
Well, they call it Charlestown Development LLC. MB Development is the people
Oh,
designing.
And who's in?
Charlestown Development, MB Development is the developer, but they're also part of the Charlestown Development LLC. Is that correct?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
What is the gentleman name that owns that?
John Neese.
John Neese. There you go. Neese Lucas.
Needs to.
That's what I was trying to think of. That's them, same guys owns all that property. That's his property.
Right. I just was trying to figure out who's on first.
Yeah, okay.
No problem. All right, well, that's all I
Well,
got. Thank you
like I
guys
said, if
for
you got
all
any more-
being here and doing what you do.
If you got any more questions, just give me a call.
You bet I will. You know I will.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have anybody else?
Want to speak?
Yes.
My name is Jose Luis Cabrera. I'm a new resident down in Charleston here. I bought a house for my daughter in 129 Spring Street. I'm sort of giving you the back. I'm not supposed to give you that back to nobody. I'm an ex-military, you know? And I just had a heart attack, so sometime my voice goes away, so give me a break. And that's
I'll take
sometimes
your
it's
time.
not too much because I get dizzy.
So have a seat there.
No, I'm good. As long as I go hang to something. I moved there, I let my daughter and my ex-wife to buy the house. We bought it from Bob's. And I see around here that they have new developments because they need about 80,000 houses, I think it is. That's what I heard,
Yeah, that's just what
what
they
they
tell
want
us,
to do.
right? Yeah.
But some of the area don't have no sidewalks. And I see a lot of people walking to the sidewalk, especially in my street. And we have young kids walking their dogs, even the females walking their dogs at nighttime. But we got some people that don't respect the speed limits on those areas. And they, I'm sorry, but excuse my French, but they haul ass up and down there. And last night, they almost hit the lady next door. There's no light either there. See, we got a problem with lights. And sidewalks. They say they was gonna put sidewalks, I don't know how to see it. I got a year living there. The next thing is the sewers. I moved in there in November, and it started really in January. There was a lot of rain. And my house flooded out because the sewer was clogged. And the water came out from the toilets.
You have a new house, don't you?
and I had a new house.
Okay.
Yep. And I called the development, and they all came and they cleaned the area. But I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, it rains again. Water start coming up again. We got a problem with the sewer in that area.
Mhm.
And behind my house, there's a lot of trees. There's a long line of the tree. And the power line runs through it.
Right.
And we got transformer back there. My concern is if they're gonna pick up electricity for the new development from that pole, from those poles.
No.
And if they're gonna cut those trees down. Because if they cut those trees down, they're gonna have to build a wall, reinforcement wall back there. Because we will have the terrain to slide out, especially in my house. I got about 3 or 4 feet. If they cut the street, half of my backyard is gonna hold. Because that area that you wanna build houses is a depression, it's a low place. Now that area will have separate sewer, separate line, sidewalk and everything. Because I seen in the map, for the fire truck, we got long fire trucks.
Mhm.
I don't think they hardly gonna maneuver that area in that around thing. That'll be wire. That's my concern. Because maybe I'm gonna buy a house there. Well, depends, because the house that we bought is too small, it's for my daughter. I got too much junk. I even have to buy a little house for it. And that is my concern, my next door neighbor concerned, because the other one next to me is an old World War II barracks. I call them barracks because they used to be World War II houses for the people that used to work in the ammunition dump.
Mhm.
I know that. I used to station down there. I know most of the story about this area. I was in 101st, so I know how it is. And that house is building it, and they're making holes down there and pipes that is connected to the same sewer. It's not your fault, it's not your problem, it's just the development, the people who inspect those houses. They're not inspecting the houses properly. Yeah. And they give you the permission to do things, but they're not doing the right thing by the law, by the specifications. But the most thing my concern is the kids. We got kids, they're walking around there with their dog, with their girlfriend, even young kids. We have the school in front of us. And once the people start moving that area, we're gonna have more kids running around. I only see them in the yard where we put the dogs, we walk the dog. I see a lot of kids there and the family. But we would like to have more, something bigger for the kids because this town's gonna grow up. I could see in 5 or 10 more years, this is gonna be a boom town. And it's good for us. It's good for the people who live around and everything. But we gotta start doing the right thing. That is my concern there. And we haven't, I'm glad that they're gonna develop houses there. Because they give us more money in our properties, more value. And also because I got a suspicion. I know how a firearm when you fire a weapon. And 2 months ago, a month ago, there was firing behind my house. Why? Because there's some deers running around there. And I think one of the people back there shot that deer. Because my wife, my daughter saw the deer coming in a couple of times, and now we don't see it. But somebody shot it. And the police went around there. We need some security. I only see the police twice a day. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. And I see all the vehicles parking the side. Now that's other things that I'm concerned. And the town, we need to have more meetings like this for the people to see what's going on in the community. Not only having good things for the kids and everything, but we need to go find out what's the problems and see if we have some people that could wash our neighborhood. We need to take care of ourselves, each other. I see here that nobody take care of nobody. Everybody's by their own way. But we need safety in our area. And people committed to do something, to secure, because I see I'm an old folk. I'm going for 72 years, and I see a bunch of them that's younger than me. But I'm not gonna last too long. But my daughter is, my ex-wife is, and maybe my son and my daughter-in-law, which is a doctor, might be here, because she's like this place. See what I'm saying? That's all my concern. That's why I'm here. I'm here on behalf of my neighbor in front of me, because they was not notified about this. And my next door neighbor, they almost got hit by a car yesterday. And she all nervous. She was gonna come, but she don't speak in English, she's Spanish. And if you notice, there's a lot of Mexican and Cubans in there. The only Puerto Rican that there is me, because I already found out. The only Puerto Rican in this whole Charles town is myself, my family.
Actually, our, the guy that works the street department is Puerto Rican.
It is?
Mhm.
And a lot of them, oh, you Mexican. No, I'm not Mexican, but I'm not prejudiced. I'm not got nothing against Mexican. Because they think that we're looking for the green card. I'm not looking for no green card. I served the military for 30 years. And we're Commonwealth in 1989, the United States. And we fight all the battle in this, for this country. For the freedom of myself, my kids, and all of us. But please, let's have something that we could take care of each other. Something happened, we'll let us know.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I'm, thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the notification that, you talk about his neighbor was actually outside of that 600-foot radius. And it's pinpointed on there, so I had the engineering firm tells me which ones are which.
Okay. Do we have any more public comment? If not, entertain a motion for the approval of the PUD.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Blevins,
I'll second it.
okay, second by Mr. Bergen. All in favor, or first of all, any more discussion for the board members? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Okay, motion's approved. And if there's no other new business, have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Yes,
Second.
and Kristen and Stephanie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. What's our next meeting?
Like, man, oh, man.
I know. I was doing that many years ago.
It's hard to believe, sit there, you do it, and the kids are in it.
Yep.
It's hard to, this just makes it all. It's good. I mean, it's just, it's weird the way they,
Well, the first thing I would
I
say,
just always wonder what these kids are gonna do.
Hey, Stephanie.
sidewalk,
Oh,
You know,
I know.